How am I gonna record any more videos when I've been shot in the shoulder twice by the internet? Well, anyway, being shot in the shoulder or not, this is still the Mississippi King who is somehow welcoming y'all back to more Let's Play Mega Man 4, and in this episode we're tackling Dive Man, who has a very silly design. Seriously, he looks like a submarine, and apparently his bad point is motion sickness, and he was designed to like dive to extreme depths. Seriously? Who designed him to have motion sickness? That seems like a fatal flaw. Who thought that was a good idea? So, one thing I forgot to explain is that the Rain Flush, Toadman's ability, is actually an unblockable screen nuke. So, yeah, this is Dive Man's stage, which is honestly one of my favorite underwater levels in the entire Mega Man series. Mainly because of just how it flows so well. It's really interesting. I mean, like, one thing I should say about the Robot Masters is that, well, yeah, some of them are pretty silly, but I mean, I'd be lying if I said they weren't interesting. They at least stand out, which is more than I can say about Mega Man 5's Robot Masters. I'm sorry, I know I've been kind of bringing up Mega Man 5 a decent bit, but I just don't really like the Robot Masters in Mega Man 5. They're just kind of bland and forgettable. They look like every other Robot Master of their type in history. And that's when they ripped off the Starman and Mario. And it still wasn't very interesting. And yes, I did destroy the whale back there using the flash stopper, but this time I'm gonna fight the whale legitimately, like with an actual weapon, or like not just with like freezing them. They're still ridiculously easy. That's one thing about Mega Man 4, that they do seem to love their mini-bosses in this game. But yeah, here's one thing neat, it's the wire adapter if we go down, and yeah, unlike for Pharaoh Man's stage, I'm not actually going to be using I'm not actually going to be like editing the alternate path in, because instead it just warps you back to where you were. And so with that, you can actually you would actually have to fight the whale again, and you'll go past the same spot. So it's like, there's really no point to editing it out. I mean, it's a short enough trip. Also, here's Rush Marine. It's really good in this game. It's actually a lot more useful than Rush Jet 1. Well, I mean, it's more useful underwater than it used to be in Mega Man 3, because in Mega Man 3 you had Rush Jet, which was broken on so many levels. And as for Dive Man himself, I realized that the skull barrier is actually his weakness, but I'm going to fight him without, because I find him to be a pretty easy Robot Master. I mean, some people may find him hard, and it's and like it may not be particularly advisable for beginners to pick on Dive Man at this point, like without his weakness, but he's still pretty easy. I can beat him without taking any damage. Like with Bright Man, it's a good idea to keep your distance from him. like, stay as far away from him as you can. That way, you have more time to read when he's, about to charge at you. And look at that! Didn't even take any damage. How do you like that? Yeah, I think Dive Man's a piece of cake. But, yeah, I'm actually not going to be tackling Skullman next. I'm actually going to leave Skullman for last. Typically that's what I do, is that I'll leave Skullman for the last Robot Master I tackle. Just because the Skull Barrier, I mean, it's not a bad weapon, it's just, it's kind of more situational. I mean, it can help in this stage, Drillman's stage, the one we're going to next. The thing with that is that, like, I just find the other weapons more useful. And the Skull Barrier isn't particularly bad, but I just feel that the other weapons outshine it in pretty much every way. And one thing I should have explained is the dive missile is actually a homing missile. Yes, that's right. You shoot it and it will home in on enemies. It's actually pretty fast, too, so it's pretty good. And that's one thing I like about it. I mean, it can be a bit imprecise, but nevertheless, it's still another great weapon in this game. Anyone want to tell me that Mega Man 4 has lackluster weapons? Come at me! I would like a word with you. Because I strongly disagree. The thing with this stage is that, like, there are also the places in which the Skull Barrier can help, while, I mean, there are also, you also have for the Flash Stopper and the Pharaoh Shot, both of which can help tremendously in the coming parts, and with the Pharaoh Shot you won't even use any energy. Also, one thing I forgot to mention about Ringman, he likes Deck Koi. I don't know what Deck Koi is, but anyway, here's the Rain Flush in action. You see, it just completely obliterates any enemies, even if, like, hitting them would otherwise count as having the shot blocked. So it's like, that's pretty useful. And, the thing with, what's it, I don't know what Deck Boy is. Someone could enlighten me, I sure would enjoy that. I don't know, maybe I should have researched it, but whatever. In any case, this is actually the section that I was talking about, where the Skull Barrier could in fact come in handy. But personally, I find the Pharaoh Shot to be much more useful. Or at least, it feels better. Nevertheless, there are multiple strategies to get through that part. But we're actually coming up on Drillman, which can be kind of tricky, but not particularly hard, but he can be a bit annoying because he often likes to, like, drill into the ground and then, like, come up, and he'll, like, keep doing that, but if you attack him when he's about to drill into the ground, then your shot will just bounce off. And that can be a bit of a nuisance, because it's like you can only really get in one shot for every time he comes out. But, you know, sometimes he'll throw his drill bomb, which doesn't seem to be happening to me. Speaking of his weapon, the drill bomb is what the crash bomb should have been. You can actually press the button to detonate it. It detonates on contact, and you can actually detonate it while it's on its path. So it's everything the Crash Bomber should have been, plus it doesn't even use that much weapon energy. I mean, it's not like Metal Blade levels of broken there, but like each use only uses like a single, well, like a small part of it, like the smallest visible part of the weapon energy bar. It's pretty good. It's actually Toadman's weakness, and as for Toadman, well, I mean, that really just makes the fight go quicker. Doesn't make it any easier, it just makes it go by quicker. That's all. As y'all could tell, I got a Rush Jet from Drillman, and it's not as useful as it was in Mega Man 3. I mean, we're not going to be showing it off, at least I don't think we will. Not until Cossack Castle, at least, but it's just not that useful, I find. And well, I mean, it's not as useful. It's not to say it isn't somewhat useful. It's different from Mega Man 3, because in Mega Man 3 you could use it to go any which way, and you could just totally abuse it and use it to go anywhere without restriction. And so it almost broke the game, or broke the platforming challenges. But in this game it's changed it so that it only goes in a straight line. Like, you can still maneuver it up or down slowly, so like, it's not totally useless, but I mean, I just don't find it as useful as it was in Mega Man 3, which, to be fair, there's probably... it's not hard to see why they did that. I mean, like, considering how much it broke the game last time, it's understandable that they'd want to tone it down in the next installment. But, you can maneuver it up or down, but it doesn't go, like, it doesn't immediately go up or down, so it's like, it's not quite as useful in that regard. With regards to the wire adapter, that's one thing I should have mentioned earlier, is that you can actually look up, and then you press the fire button and you'll release a wire that pulls you to the ceiling. This can actually come in handy a decent bit, especially in, Cossack Castle. So, yeah, we're getting to the end of the Robot Masters. Dustman is pretty easy, especially with his weakness, but I mean, I can handle him with or without his weakness. His weakness just makes things go by quicker. I mean, with the Toadman, it's really more of his weakness really saves time more than it makes the fight easier, since he's a joke. Dustman actually has another really great weapon, the Dust Crusher. And it's actually Skullman's weakness, but that's not why we're tackling Skullman last. We're tackling Skullman last just because I don't much care for his weapon. It's not bad, but again, as I've said, it's kind of situational. With regards to the Dust Crusher, it's actually something. Basically, you fire it, and it goes in a straight path, and then when it hits something, it splits into 4 smaller pieces that can each damage an enemy individually. So it can come in handy quite a bit. Again, I'm really just tackling this particular order. it's not because I necessarily have a preference for the particular order. In fact, I can usually take on these guys in practically any order, because I just think that the weapons are so great that it's not like there's a major priority for me to want to get either one weapon over another, barring the skull barrier, which, again, isn't terrible, but, I mean, there are better weapons. And speaking of the skull barrier, apparently a good point about Skullman is bone idle. Is apparently bone idle. I don't think that's a good point. And, like, seriously, in case those of y'all who don't know, apparently bone idle is when you're it means extremely lazy. So, yeah, I'm not so sure that's a good point. And he also likes horror movies. Because he's a skeleton, you see him. Yeah. Seriously, who writes these Mega Man and base character profiles? Stuff that they say are good points is just messed up. And I also disagree with some of the things they call bad points. But that's neither here nor there. Nevertheless, Skullman's stage is heavily combat-oriented, and so you'll want to use a good deal of your weapons. Or at least that's what I do. I find the weapons to be very useful in this game, and I will fight you if you say they're useless. With regards to the game that's coming out this year in 2018, that would be Mega Man 11, which I am excited for, by the way. Yeah, I haven't really talked much about that, have I? So, basically, it's looking real amazing, and it's headed by some guy who actually had nothing to do with making Mega Man at all. Which, you know, normally would be a red flag, but I admire the way he's handling the project, with the way he's getting in people who know what they're doing, who have dealt with Mega Man games, and who actually want to do something, and he seems like he really wants to make it an amazing game. So, yeah, props on him for that. But enough about Mega Man 11. In case y'all didn't see, I just got yet another one-up. So now I have like 9 lives. I'm already maxed out, and I haven't even gotten to Cossack's Castle. So ain't that something? This is the easiest Mega Man game so far. Well, I mean, I haven't played the Game Gear Mega Man games, so I wouldn't really know about them. But as for like the main series console titles, this is the easiest so far. Not the easiest in history, because there are easier Mega Man games that come out after this, but so far, it's the easiest. And we really won't need any energy tanks or all that lives, because the game is just a piece of cake. And as for fighting Skullman himself, what you want to do is you want to use a combination between the Ring Boomerang and the Dust Crusher. The Dust Crusher is his actual weakness, but you'll want to use the Ring Boomerang every time he brings up his shield, so you can get in a few extra hits. But then when it disappears, you'll want to switch to the Dust Crusher, because the Ring Boomerang doesn't deal that much damage. Now with the Skullman, he's kind of a joke with his weakness. He can be somewhat tricky for newcomers, but I think there are harder robot masters. If you want a legitimately hard robot master, then, well, I can't really think of anything. Also, I don't think I mentioned this, but Dr. Cossack is actually a Russian scientist. I mean, I don't think the game ever explicitly said so, maybe it does in the manual, but, I mean, I ain't got that. And, apparently he's, Russian. I mean, it's pretty obvious that he's Russian, it's just, they make that pretty clear, so it's not like it's a huge ambiguity or anything like that. But with Skullman down, we're ready to tackle Dr. Cossack's Castle. And it's pretty easy, actually. I mean, I wouldn't say it's easier than, like, say, Dr. Wily's castle from the last Mega Man game. Or wait, wouldn't that be Dr. Wily? Of course, this isn't Mega Man 3, and this game doesn't typo Dr. Wily's name! It's Dr. Wily in this game, not Dr. Wily. This part can be kind of annoying because of the presence of the Albuquerque Joes. That's this game's version of the college Joes. But yeah, they can be kind of annoying because of their placement, but it's nothing too bad. Just as long as you keep a regular pattern of movement along this part, you can do just fine, or you can do the opposite and just die right there. That works too. I really am the Armond White of video game difficulty. Like, seriously, I must very clearly be the Armond White of video game difficulty. And seriously, that was not a difficult section. But of course, I end up dying anyway, because why not? That was a fault on my end. Seriously, this part is not that hard. But of course I find some way to die on it. So don't listen to a word I say when it comes to video game difficulty, because everything that is hard is actually easy, and everything that is hard is... everything that is easy is hard. So when I say this castle is easy, don't listen to me, it's probably nightmarishly hard. And when I say something is hard, then, well, don't listen to me either, because that's also not true. It's probably very easy. Is that how it goes? Whatever. Nevertheless, I suspect it's going to become a running theme that I am very clearly the Armond White of video game difficulty. And therefore, when I say something's hard or easy, maybe I'm not the right person to trust.
Case in point, I'm now failing at basic platforming challenges. Ain't that just slow? But seriously, this is going to be a running gag, I can already tell. I'm failing basic platforming challenges so I can beat White Dive Man without taking any damage. And without his weakness, too. And I can beat the Yellow Devil without using the pause screen glitch, and the Yellow Devil Mark II without using an energy tank. But when it comes to basic platforming challenges, oh no, that is just too difficult for me. For some ridiculous reason, I seem to fail it a lot. And in case y'all can't tell, there you go! I failed a platforming challenge yet again, because of course I am. I mean, why wouldn't I just completely bundle this up? I didn't expect the whole thing about this, about being the Armond White of video game difficulty to become a running gag, but apparently it's so true that it is going to become a running gag or whatever. This is just embarrassing. I failed to climb that yet again, so hopefully I can beat the
boss without dying and possibly redeem myself. I mean, I'd say it would redeem myself and be further proof that I am the Armond White of video game difficulty, but this boss is actually pretty easy, so I wouldn't say that. But then again, you know, whether or not you should trust me, I'm not so sure if you should take my word on it, since, you know, I'm not very good at judging video game difficulty, it would seem. This boss, by the way, is called Mothraia, as the info card will probably say. And as for the info on the the Cossack stage bosses, or whatever castle stages that will come in future games, up till Mega Man 6, they will come from the Mega Man Legacy Collection, which is how I got the information on Mothraia for the info card. But I'd say that's about it for this episode. In the next episode, we'll finish off the Cossack Castle and bring that deranged Russian scientist to justice. So see y'all then. This is the Mississippi King signing out.